A name that carries a legacy. In a small, quiet town in the English countryside, a rescue dog has become the symbol of hope, healing, and remembrance. The animal, a mixed-breed spaniel named Clive, was recently adopted by a local family and named in honor of Clive Robertson, a 67-year-old retired accountant who tragically lost his life savings to an online scam amounting to £46,000. For Clive's grieving family, naming the dog after him was more than a gesture, it was an act of love and renewal. What began as a devastating story of financial deceit has transformed into one of second chances, loyalty, and emotional recovery. The fraud that changed everything. In late 2023, Clive Robertson became one of thousands of victims in the UK's growing wave of online investment scams. Known for his trust in people and calm, analytical mind, Clive was lured by what appeared to be a legitimate bond investment opportunity promoted through a well-designed financial website. It looked real, recalls his daughter, Laura Robertson, 34, a primary school teacher from Kent. The website had reviews, contact numbers, even registration details that matched actual firms listed on the Financial Conduct Authority database. It wasn't some dodgy email, it felt professional. After a few weeks of friendly contact with what he believed were financial advisors, Clive invested £10,000. Encouraged by returns reflected on a fake dashboard, he gradually poured in more of his savings until his total investment reached £46,000. By the time the family realized the scheme was fraudulent, the scammers had vanished, along with every penny. It broke him, Laura says softly. He wasn't just upset about the money. He felt ashamed, like he should have known better. But these scams are designed to fool even the most cautious people. The emotional aftermath. The emotional toll was immense. Clive, a widower since 2019, had been saving for his retirement travels, a dream he had shared with his late wife, Margaret. The fraud not only took his savings but also his sense of security and self-worth. He was the most cautious man I knew, says his younger brother, Peter Robertson. He worked for decades, paid every bill on time, never gambled, never borrowed. For him to fall for something like this, it shattered him. Clive spent his last months campaigning quietly online to raise awareness about financial scams, hoping that others could learn from his experience. Unfortunately, before his efforts gained momentum, he passed away in early 2024 following a stroke. His family believes the stress and heartbreak played a role. Turning grief into good. Months after his passing, Laura and her husband, Adam, found themselves visiting a local animal shelter in Kent. "We weren't looking for a dog," Adam says. "We just wanted to volunteer for a few weekends. But then we met him." The him in question was a nervous, malnourished spaniel cross who had been rescued from an abandoned property. The shelter staff described him as timid but gentle, a dog who flinched at sudden noises but wagged his tail hesitantly when spoken to kindly. Laura remembers the exact moment she decided to adopt him. "He looked at me with these big, brown eyes. It was like he was saying, 'Please don't give up on me.' I felt something deep inside me shift." That day, she filled out the adoption forms and wrote a single name under. Chosen name for pet, Clive. A dog's second chance. When Clive the dog arrived at the Robertson household, he was frail, frightened, and suspicious of human touch. The first few weeks were challenging. He refused food, barked at unfamiliar sounds, and hid under the kitchen table for hours. But the family persisted with patience and care. Laura, remembering her father's gentle nature, spoke softly to him each morning. She would sit on the floor, reading out loud or just talking about her day. "I'd tell him stories about my dad," she says. "It felt like therapy for both of us. The dog slowly started to come out, wag his tail, and eat from my hand. It was as if he understood the kindness behind his name." 6 months later, Clive has become a completely different dog. His fur has grown glossy, his eyes bright, and his playful energy fills the home with warmth. "He's our little miracle," says Adam. Naming him after Laura's dad wasn't planned, but it became a beautiful way to keep his memory alive. The shelter's role. The shelter, Kent Animal Rescue Haven, KARH, has seen many tragic stories, but Clive's transformation stands out. "Clive came to us broken," says shelter manager Rebecca Hartley. "He was found in a derelict building with no food or water. The vet said he wouldn't have survived another week. But now, seeing him thriving with his new family, it's one of those moments that makes this work worthwhile." Rebecca adds that when she learned the reason behind the dog's name, the entire shelter staff was moved. "We get a lot of sweet stories, but this one had such depth. It wasn't just about saving a dog, it was about healing from human loss and turning something painful into something pure." Financial fraud. A growing crisis. Clive Robertson's story sheds light on a broader issue that continues to devastate thousands of UK citizens each year. According to Action Fraud, the UK's National Reporting Centre for Cybercrime, victims lost more than £2.7 billion to online scams in 2024 alone, with investment frauds being the most financially damaging. These scams often involve cloned websites, fake endorsements from celebrities, and even impersonations of legitimate banks or financial advisors. "Scammers are getting smarter and more convincing," explains Detective Inspector Sarah Naylor of the Kent Police Cybercrime Unit. "They use psychological tactics, trust building, urgency, and fear of missing out. Once they gain your confidence, they exploit it completely." In Clive's case, the scammers had created a carbon copy of a real investment firm's website. Even professionals might have found it difficult to spot the difference. "It's heartbreaking," Naylor adds. "Victims not only lose money but also their trust in people and institutions. Some even develop depression or anxiety from the experience." The ripple effect of loss. For Laura, the emotional scars of her father's ordeal ran deep. "I was angry," she admits. "Angry at the scammers, angry at the system for not protecting people like him. But I realized that anger wouldn't bring him back. So, I needed to channel it into something positive." She began volunteering with Age UK and Scamwatch UK, helping elderly people recognize and avoid online scams. Through workshops and online webinars, she now shares her father's story as a cautionary tale. "I tell people, if my dad could fall for it, anyone can. It's not about intelligence, it's about manipulation. These scammers are professionals in deceit." The adoption of Clive the dog became part of that healing mission. "When I talk about my dad's story, I also share how naming a rescue dog after him helped me recover. It's a reminder that love and goodness can still emerge from darkness." The dog who became a symbol. Clive's story spread quickly on social media after the shelter posted a photo of the happy dog with a caption, "From abandoned to adored, meet Clive, named in memory of a man whose kindness lives on." The post went viral, drawing thousands of comments from people touched by the symbolism. Some shared their own experiences of loss and recovery, while others donated to KARH in Clive's memory. "I cried when I read it," wrote one commenter. "Such a beautiful tribute. This story gives me hope that even after tragedy, something good can bloom." The shelter later announced that they would dedicate a small section of their new adoption center to victims of fraud and financial crime, people who had suffered emotional harm and found solace in adopting or sponsoring animals. "We realized that healing doesn't just happen through therapy or time," says Rebecca Hartley. "It also happens through connection with animals who've also been betrayed, abandoned, or hurt. Together, they rebuild." A daily reminder of love. Every morning, Clive the dog sits by the window as Laura prepares for work. She gives him a gentle pat on the head and whispers, "Good boy, Clive." Sometimes she glances at her father's photograph hanging in the living room, a smiling man in glasses holding a cup of tea, and feels as though both Clives are watching over her. "Dad would have loved him," she says with a smile. He was always gentle with animals. I think he would have been proud that his name is now attached to something so full of life and joy. Expert views on emotional healing through animals. Psychologists agree that adopting pets after traumatic loss can provide immense emotional relief. Animals help people process grief in ways words often can't, explains Drive. Helen Marston, a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma therapy. They offer unconditional love, routine, and a sense of purpose. In Laura's case, adopting a rescue dog named after her father bridges the gap between loss and life. Dr. Marston adds that symbolic acts, like naming a pet in someone's memory, can aid emotional closure. It allows people to transform pain into legacy. The name becomes not just a tribute, but a living continuation of the person's spirit. From victim to voice. Since adopting Clive, Laura has become a local advocate for scam awareness and animal welfare. Her dual mission, to protect the elderly from online fraud and promote pet adoption, has earned her recognition from local councils and community groups. In August 2025, she launched the Clive's Promise Initiative, a campaign encouraging families to honor lost loved ones through acts of kindness, whether by adopting rescue animals, volunteering, or supporting fraud victims. Our mission is simple, she explains. To turn grief into goodness. To ensure that no story of loss ends without something beautiful growing from it. A life remembered, a life reborn. Today, when Laura takes Clive for walks in the park, passers-by often stop to pet him, unaware of the deep story behind his name. He's just a happy dog to most people, she says. But to me, he's proof that love can survive anything, even fraud, even grief. Clive's name tag gleams under the sunlight, engraved with the words loved, remembered, rescued, and in that small inscription lies the entire essence of two intertwined lives, one lost to deceit, the other saved from despair, each helping the other find peace. A message to others. As scams continue to rise across the UK, Laura hopes her father's story, and Clive's transformation, will remind people to stay cautious yet compassionate. Scammers take your money, but they don't have to take your heart, she says firmly. If you've been a victim, don't hide. Talk about it, warn others, heal through action, and for those who are grieving, she adds a final thought. Sometimes, healing comes on four legs, with a wagging tail and a name that means everything. Conclusion. From loss to love. The story of Clive the man and Clive the dog stands as a testament to resilience, compassion, and the unbreakable link between human and animal healing. A man who lost everything became, in spirit, the reason a frightened rescue dog found a second chance. And through that unlikely connection, a family discovered that even the cruelest acts of deceit could never extinguish love. As Laura reflects, watching her dog chase autumn leaves in the garden, she whispers, "Dad, I hope you see him. He's doing so well." Answer: am I.